We're live today. We're talking issues that are important to our community, to our state. And my guest here in studio, an interesting woman, Kshama Sawant. She's a socialist who's running for the State House. Not in a district here in Whatcom County, rather in District 43, but she is speaking tonight, one of two speakers featured tonight on the campus of Western Washington University. Mike LaPointe will be joining her as well. He is an independent running for U.S. Congress in District 2. We've talked to Mike before here on the Joe Show. Had him up from Snohomish County, and he is, as I said, challenging Rick Larson for his seat, and Mike's been active in the Occupy movement. But Kshama, I was contacted by Rami Khalil with Socialist Alternative, said that we're bringing her up. She's going to be speaking. I said, I'd love to have her on the Joe Show. And first of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me, Joe.
Good to have you here. And you are, well, first of all, where's the 43rd District?
The 43rd District includes some of the sort of densest parts of Seattle, Capitol Hill, large parts of downtown. It includes the University District where UW Seattle is located, and parts of Wallingford and so on. Okay. And I take it, you've lived in that area for quite some time? Or? I've lived there for about 3.5 years now. All right. Have you been politically active before? Is this the first time you're running for office? Well, this is the first time I'm running for office, but I have been politically active. As you mentioned earlier, I'm a member of Socialist Alternative, which is a nationwide socialist or democratic socialist organization, and we're also affiliated with an international organization, and we're basically socialist activists, and our election campaign has that same outlook. All right. We don't often hear for socialists hear from actually socialists running for political office. Are you kind of a lone wolf out there in this election campaign, or are there some other folks running in some other districts? Well, I don't think that there are so many socialists per se running in other districts and for other offices, but there are other left-wing challengers to the Democratic Party that are running. One, I think you mentioned Mike LaPointe. We have endorsed his campaign, and he has endorsed our campaign. He is an independent left-wing challenger, and I think your listeners should definitely pay attention to his campaign particularly, because he's running against the Democratic incumbent to the U.S. Congress from the 2nd District, Rick Larson, who's been notorious for supporting the coal terminal. Mm-hmm. And that's a big issue that you're talking about. You're not from Bellingham. You're not from, as far as I know, a district that has a coal terminal planned for it or discussed, but it's an issue that you feel is important, I take it, statewide. Absolutely. I think this is an issue that is not only important statewide, it's also important for everybody who's living in North America, and indeed in the entire world, because as we speak, we're seeing capitalism and corporate dominated economic and political agenda really causing untold devastation of the global environment. And the way the environmental issues and environmental destruction, the way it works is the effects of it are not localized. So everybody should be concerned about it, and especially, for the people living in Bellingham and Whatcom County, what they're going to see if this coal terminal goes through is 48 million tons of coal will be transported annually. Coal is the most responsible thing for global warming. It's the most notorious for fossil fuel. And if you're talking about global warming, the key word there is global. Mm-hmm. So everybody should be concerned about it. Uh-huh. Are people talking about it in your district, about the coal export issue, or is it more of us out here in the hinterlands where these facilities are planned? No, I think in fact one of the most striking things about this whole coal terminal debate is how much public outcry there has been about this issue, and the outcry is obviously for obvious reasons. It's been the loudest and the clearest in the Bellingham and Whatcom County region. But I hear about anger about it and outrage about it even in Seattle, where I'm living. And the entire Northwest, this whole belt from Vancouver to Portland to San Francisco, even this whole belt is. It includes a lot of people who are very environmentally conscious. This is the sort of the center for recycling and composting and for environmental awareness. So people actually understand. And I think what I would like to point out, one of the things I would like to point out about this whole issue is that is how blatant that the disregard for public opinion has been from the city council, Bellingham City Council, from the state of Washington, and also federally. I mean, people are outraged about this. Coal terminal protests in the Whatcom County in all of last year, they drew anywhere from 400 to 1,000 people. Bill McKibben, who's been an international spokesperson, to stop global climate change, was himself here. And there has been a study that pointed out that the impacts of this coal terminal will be bigger than the Keystone XL pipeline, which most everybody in the country knows about. So I think this is very decidedly a flashpoint for the global warming debate.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, and I think you touch on an issue that's really close to home here, and that is the public debate and the ability of the communities involved, and even just concerned communities, maybe that aren't directly affected, their ability to have a voice in this and say, wait a minute, we here as a state are moving away from using coal as a source of energy, and yet we have all these other concerns about our environment, whether it's keeping and improving the health of the sound, or just our own waterways, improving salmon runs, and all these things that are important to us, and yet we're going to be used as the conduit for this really dirty substance being exploited.
Absolutely, I think I could not have stated it better. I mean, it is a really dirty substance, and it really is. We have to really remember that they're doing this in a region where we have actually consciousness, public consciousness has moved well beyond the use of fossil fuels. There is a widespread awareness of the need for renewable energy. And yet, this is happening. And so, that's the real question we need to focus on. Who is doing this? And how is it that this terminal is still an issue, is still an ongoing issue when people have spoken out? I mean, you have the Proposition 2 that, for the city ballot, they have collected more than 10,000 signatures, which I would like to point out in a city of 80,000 people is a remarkable, remarkable section of the population that is willing to sign on this initiative, and that's the point. I mean, if we are living in a democracy, where is the representation for public opinion? And that's the problem, and that's the reason I'm a socialist as well, because I recognize, like other socialists, that ultimately this is not a question of simply going out there and casting your ballot for the Democrats or Republicans, but really it's a question of recognizing that both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party ultimately are loyal servants of big business. And this coal terminal, there's no better example than this coal terminal to show how beholden they are to that agenda. I mean, look at Rick Larsen, the person who's running against Michael Point. I mean, he is one of the Democratic legislators who has benefited from the 4 corporations that are directly pushing for this coal terminal, namely BNSF, Peabody Energy, Goldman Sachs, and SSA Marine. But Rick Larsen is far from the only one. He has a lot of ugly company there. So you have your mayor of Bellingham, Kelly Linville, who's also got financial donations from these same coal terminal corporations. Patty Murray, U.S. Senator, her husband works for SSA Marine, and he has over a $500,000 retirement fund with SSA. And we also know about both Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell, who are both Democratic senators. At the federal level, they both were instrumental in pushing for a deep water port to be built, in Birch Bay, to facilitate the transport of the barges. So, this is not just one isolated thing. It's not a question of good apples versus bad apples. The reality is that the Democratic Party's agenda, just as much as the Republican Party, is dominated by the interests of corporate profits, big business, and the super wealthy. And this is this is what lies behind why this coal terminal is being pushed. In complete opposition to what the people want.
All right, we're talking with Kshama Sawant. She's a socialist for State House, running for the state legislature in the District 43 down in parts of Seattle, and she's our guest here today. She'll also be speaking this evening at Western Washington University in the Academic Instructional Center West. That's room 203. There is free parking. Well, they wanted to make sure that I'll let you folks know that. The gravel lots to the south of the campus, south end of the campus, is where there is free parking available. It's happening 6 o'clock this evening. And we've got folks on the line. We'll get to you in just a moment. 734-5697. Your comments, questions are welcome as we discuss, well, the coal terminal, the coal issue, but other issues as well that are important to us here in Bellingham, Whatcom County, and the state of Washington. Back on the Joe Show here in just a moment.